Hey guys, so I just finished watching the vice presidential debate between Mike Pence and Kamala Harris, and I just wanted to talk about this one point that Mike Pence makes. So he calls out Senator Harris for voting against the USMCA, which is basically like this deal between the U.S., Mexico, and Canada, like the three major powerhouses of the North American continent, and he calls out rightfully that Harris was one of the 10 senators who voted against the deal, and I want to point out um, how this single statement may have cost the Trump campaign their entire vegan vote. So, what is the USMCA? Well, the US, okay, so I explained it a little bit before. So the USMCA, that stands for the United States, Mexico, Canada trade. Basically it's like a trade deal, right? And here are some of the key things that it like plans to do. So first thing is, okay, so this key achievement says that it expands like market access for American food. But what does that actually mean? Well, if you look below this main headline, you see that that through this deal, America's dairy farmers will have new export opportunities to sell dairy products, and it will provide the U.S. with new products, including fluid milk, cream butter, skim milk, and all this good stuff, and also it'll increase. Okay, so the first thing it does is like it deals with like dairy stuff, right? It helps the dairy industry. And the second thing it does is it helps the poultry industry, right? It provides access to for the U.S. For chicken and eggs, and increasing access for turkeys. And what does this all mean? So to someone who's a vegan, this is the most um, terrible, like unforgivable thing that you can possibly like brand in your trade agreement, because like all of this dairy stuff, assuming it's like it's gonna like come from factory farmed cows in CAFOs, which are concentrated animal feeding. I forgot what the O stands for, but yeah. So anyway, it's gonna involve a lot of like suffering and artificial insemination, and like taking away the calves like 72 hours within the mother giving birth and all that. And also it's gonna like cause like a ton of chickens and turkeys to be kept in these like terrible conditions, and yeah, and all of that. And additionally, what it's gonna do is it's going to allow Canada to export like these milk products over an agreed threshold, and they're most likely going to be increasing this threshold in order to like um, benefit this industry more. And yeah, this is definitely like not good news for like people who are vegans, because like vegans, if you don't know, are people who like don't eat any animal products, including like milk and eggs and stuff. So like there's a reason why they're not vegetarians. It's because of like milk and eggs. Like one of the main reasons like that vegans talk about of why they went vegan, not like just vegetarian, just going vegetarian, is because of the dairy industry. And yeah, this supports heavily the dairy industry. Like there's no question that an innumerable amount of suffering will come from this deal. And obviously that's not the reason why like the 10 senators opposed voting on this. And if you want to know the 10 senators that did vote against this, here they are. So Chuck Schumer from New York, Kirsten Gillibrand, also from New York. So these two people representing my state, I'm really proud of them. And also Cory Booker, one of the previous presidential nominees that were running during the primaries. And of course, Kamala Harris herself from California, and also Ed Markey from Massachusetts. He was the one that won against like one of the Kennedys in like an unprecedented event, and also the two senators from Rhode Island. I don't know. I don't really know much about them, but like that's obviously a really blue state. And of course, one of the senators from Hawaii. Hawaii is also one of the blue states in the union. And also, this one surprised me. Pat Toomey from from Pennsylvania, and he's a Republican. So, like, I think he announced that he's going to be like retiring from his senator position, and like apparently he wasn't like really that great of a governor, and like a lot of I mean he wasn't that great of a senator, and a lot of people are rejoicing in that fact. But like to see even a Republican voting against this deal, like that's like speaking volumes to like how atrocious. Okay, well, I don't know why it refreshed. How atrocious this deal is. And of course, okay, please be quiet. Okay, and finally we have Bernie Sanders. I watched one of the clips of like why he voted against this, and like he acknowledges like this deal may like have some moderate improvement in like jobs and stuff like that, but the main reason for him, and I'm sure for a lot of these other senators, is because this deal did not mention anything about climate change and did not even try to address anything about it, and that's obviously like we can't have that in like a world where like climate change its effects are manifesting in more terrible and destructive ways to our society, and obviously we have to do everything we can to address that. So that was one of the reasons Bernie Sanders didn't vote for it. So yeah, I just thought I had to get this out there. To think that Pence thought that like attacking her on this would be commendable. Like in general, Pence just paints this like beautiful picture of Senator Kamala Harris, and it makes her so desirable. Like for example, so he pointed out how like she voted against this deal, and that's obviously really desirable to a vegan like me. He points out how Senator Kamala Harris um is like the most like according to like one like report, like the most liberal senator in the entire Senate, and like even more liberal than Bernie Sanders, who's like already like I mean he's an independent for crying out loud, but like that report um found that like most I don't know if they like conducted the research themselves or like they just polled people, but they're saying that Senator Kamala Harris is like the most liberal senator, and like is that supposed to be a bad thing? Like American politics is already like way too right leaning to like see someone who's really progressive and liberal. That's like that can only be a plus in the leftists' book. And he also pointed out how like she supports the Green New Deal. Like she was like one of the people who rallied behind it when AOC introduced it on the floor of the House, and how she, like through her new policy she's going to ban fracking and abolish fossil fuels. Like that could be like the most amazing thing someone like me can hear. Like we have to really stop using fossil fuels and look to renewable energy sources like nuclear energy and stuff like that. Like like who exactly is Pence trying to appeal to? Like I just don't understand. It's just ridiculous. Finally, I want to talk about one last thing that Pence mentions during this debate. So he so like in perhaps one of the most heated parts of the debate, he calls out well he asks Kamala if she's going to pack the courts, and this is obviously referring to like the current situation that's happening in the Supreme Court, where they're trying to so Trump nominated the like shortly after Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg's passing, Trump nominated Amy Coney Barrett, and she's like a staunch conservative, and like now a lot of like leftists and liberals are like fearing for like a 6-3 majority that's in favor of the conservatives, and like the Senate is like trying their absolute hardest. With the Senate is currently controlled by the Republicans in a 53 to 47 majority, and they're going to try to get this nomination through and get her appointed. And so so Pence asks if Harris and Biden are going to support court packing, which is basically increasing the number of justices on the Supreme Court. And so far, both Biden and Harris like completely like avoid addressing this topic, and like they haven't said if they support it or against it. Like the main thing they bring up is how like they think the American electorate should decide who nominates the new justice, and like they keep hammering on this point, like since the election's already in session, like the Senate shouldn't be like trying to force this nomination through, and okay, so here's what rubbed me the wrong way. Although I think Harris's avoidance and refusal to address this and probably say that she wants to pack the court or whatnot. Although I think that I think she should come out and just say that she wants to pack the court, because think about it, it's gonna be a 6-3 majority for the conservatives for a very long time, because these Supreme Court justices are nominated for their entire life, and that could mean if you nominate someone who's really young, then they could potentially be on the court for what, 30-40 years, and yeah, that means it's gonna be think about this, every single decision they make, it's at the whim of these conservatives. And do you think that's fair for an American electorate who isn't if you compare the proportions of conservatives in the entire American population, it's not going to be 6-3 in favor of conservatives. So that's just not what the American electorate is. And to think that these people are representing us in an entire branch of the government, first of all, that's not fair. And second of all, I think that Pence saying so he's obviously against this court packing, but here's the thing, it's actually completely constitutional. If you look it up, you find that under the Constitution, the number of Supreme Court justices is not fixed, and the Congress can change it by passing an act and blah blah blah. So this if is pretty likely at this point, if the Democrats get a supermajority in the government, which means they get presidency, they control the House, and they control the Senate, then they can basically they can easily pass this law to pack the courts. And who's gonna be against it? All the Democrats who are for the most part liberal, right, and then more progressive at least than the Republicans, they're all gonna be for this, and the Republicans can't do anything about it except to try to filibuster. But guess what? The now the Democrat-controlled Senate will get rid of the filibuster, and they will just they'll easily pass this court packing bill. And because there's frankly nothing the Republicans can do to stop this, I don't understand why they're yeah, okay, so another thing that rubbed me the wrong way regarding what Pence said is he's acting as an extreme hypocrite, because he's claiming that first of all, I don't even know if he knows that this is completely constitutional, but okay, so because it's constitutional, and maybe you can see it as you bending or twisting the law to your advantage, but that's basically all the Republicans know how to do. Even what they're doing right now, yes, it's constitutional, but this is as Senator Harris rightfully pointed out, when Abraham Lincoln was about to be president, when he was about to be elected, he held off on nominating a new justice because he wanted the people, the American electorate, to decide who nominates it. So he just even though he controlled the entire vessels necessary to get a new justice on the Supreme Court, he held off on it. And yet, and then he didn't have to, he could have just nominated and got his pick in, but he held off on it because he had dignity. And now these Republicans are claiming that these Democrats should have dignity and not pack the courts. But guess what? They're trying to they're trying to ram this nomination through without any care, respect for the American public. And in general, they are just massive hypocrites, and they have been hypocrites for such a long time. I think it's important that everyone votes and gets these people out of office. Of course, there are a couple of Republicans who are somewhat okay. For example, the Pat Toomey guy who voted against this. Okay, I'm gonna close this because it's gonna give me another ad. But yeah, this Pat Toomey guy who voted against the USMCA. Sometimes they can go against the party because they see something's wrong in the system, and I don't exactly know why Pat Toomey decided to vote against that bill, because it seems like every single 9 out of 10 of the senators who voted against it were Democrats, so it seems a bit weird. But yeah, I think the more of these types of Republicans we have, the better, obviously, but so it's gonna be a while for the American electorate to come around to electing these individuals. like the majority of the Democrats that have positions today, they're corporatists, capitalists, like barely left wing. Like I'll say like most of them are like somewhat in the right wing because of just how skewed the skewed American politics is compared to like Europe at least. So it's gonna take a while for things to like shift in favor of the leftists. But I guess my final point is court packing not a problem at all, and she should absolutely stand behind it. There are a ton of people I'm betting that will completely support this court packing thing. Like even the people who are conservatives and love to see Amy Coney Barrett on the Supreme Court, even they would acknowledge that court packing is something that is legal and something that they're actually able to do because of this huge disadvantage of the Supreme Court that these liberals and progressives and left wings are going to have as a result of this nomination. So my prediction is that yes, I think Amy Coney Barrett will become appointed. Like right now, there are like three senators I think that are three or two senators that three or two Republican senators that got COVID-19 and are like in the hospital and unable to show up at like the when the vote's taking place. But I think regardless, like Trump, they're gonna like force the doctors to release them early and then they're gonna vote. Even if like all the uh, Democrat senators like don't show up, that they're still going to have enough people to vote for the appointment. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say.